deal. Chief White House correspondent John Roberts has the breaking details on that story tonight and the day with President Trump. Good evening, John.
Good evening to you. Attorney General Jeff Sessions tells Fox News that he is looking into allegations the Obama administration derailed a DEA operation that was investigating the smuggling of cocaine into the United States by Hezbollah. Sessions has ordered a review of Project Cassandra, which was investigating and prosecuting Hezbollah personnel. As you mentioned, the allegations that the Obama administration interfered in Project Cassandra were first raised in a Politico magazine article. In a statement to Fox News talking about the opening of this review, the Attorney General said, quote, "While I am hopeful there were no barriers constructed by the last administration to allowing DEA agents to fully bring all appropriate cases under Project Cassandra, this is a significant issue for the protection of Americans." DOJ sources say that review could lead to the reopening of prosecutions of Hezbollah officials and could open another Inspector General's investigation of DOJ personnel. Fox News has also learned that President Trump is expected to approve the sale of very powerful anti-tank missiles to the Ukrainian government. This would mark a major escalation in U.S. support for Ukrainian forces as they battle Russian-aligned fighters in eastern Ukraine. That sale, by the way, would require congressional approval before the State Department goes ahead. President Trump left the White House this morning bound for his Christmas vacation at Mar-a-Lago, Florida, with the wind in his sails after signing his vaunted tax reform bill. President Trump gave a fist bump when he stepped off Air Force One in West Palm Beach today, the signature issue of his election campaign now codified into law.
All of this, everything in here, is really tremendous things for businesses, for people, for the middle class, for workers. And I consider this very much a bill for the middle class and a bill for jobs.
Democrats continue to slam the plan as terrible for the country.
Republicans took a victory lap because they successfully sold America's children's future by handing tax breaks to corporate America and the wealthiest.
But today, two more major corporations announcing tax reform-related benefits for workers. Sinclair and PNC joining Boeing, AT&T, Comcast, Wells Fargo, and Fifth Third Bank, handing out Christmas bonuses to some 55,000 employees. New England Patriots owner Bob Kraft telephoned the president yesterday to say he supports the bill, that it will drive economic growth, raise wages, and create jobs.
He's going to buy a big plant in the great state of North Carolina, and he's going to build a tremendous paper mill there, or paper products plant.
President Trump invoked the name of Ronald Reagan, saying his tax cut is bigger than Reagan's. Though measured as a percentage of GDP, it's not even close. And with the tax bill, President Trump claimed to have signed more legislation in his first year than even the historic frontrunner Harry Truman.
We have, I believe it's 88. Which is number one in the history of our country. Second now is Harry Truman.
Tax reform behind him, the president will spend the week at Mar-a-Lago, looking ahead to his 2018 agenda, which includes rebuilding infrastructure, immigration reform, and welfare reform. President Trump wants to get bipartisan buy-in, so infrastructure will likely go first.
Infrastructure is by far the easiest. People want it, Republicans and Democrats. We're going to have tremendous Democrat support on infrastructure, as you know.
Immigration reform and welfare reform will be a much harder sell. And in a combative election year, Democrats are expected to give the president little or none of what he'll ask for. The 2018 elections were front and center the same day President Trump celebrated the passage of tax reform. The president huddling with Chief of Staff John Kelly, Kellyanne Conway, Communications Director Hope Hicks, Political Director Bill Stepien, former campaign manager Corey Levine.
Special counsel. Well, our responsibility, and it's clear, is to provide the highest possible professional standards of law enforcement that we can provide to the American people. So we're going to take seriously the concerns that have been expressed. Rosenstein has testified before the Congress again just yesterday, and we want to be open with them.
So is he for it or against it? I'm not sure I can figure that out right there. Jason Chaffetz, seasoned veteran who might help us sort it out. What is the deal with the Attorney General? I mean, the evidence is out there of all kinds of problems at the FBI and the Justice Department, and he seems to be hesitating on the idea of a second special counsel.
I got to tell you, and it pains me to say this a little bit, but I don't think the Attorney General is up to the job that he's doing. He's absent from this. The reason there's a special counsel is because he had to recuse himself from everything. And my own personal opinion, I think it's time for the Attorney General to go, because you need leadership there, some deep systemic problems there. Now, I don't think there should be a special counsel. I mean, how's the first one working out, right? That's not going so well. I put a lot of weight on Michael Horowitz, the Inspector General. They have 450 employees working for the Inspector General. They've been working on this for a year and a half. You haven't heard leaks, and I think they will come up with the most definitive report in the January-February timeframe.
But wait a second, to challenge that last part, I hear what you're saying up until the last part. These Inspectors General at various departments, as you know, they play stall ball. I mean, a year and a half? Look at Peter Strzok with the text messages. How does he still have a job at the FBI? Forget about a special counsel. Why hasn't the Attorney General or the Inspector General said, we got to put this guy out?
Inspector General can't fire them, but they can provide the information. And it looks like that happened in the June-July timeframe. And again, it goes back to the Attorney General. Only at the Department of Justice can a person with this, bad of a record go into human resources. I mean, that's just unbelievable.
So the Attorney General recused himself from the Russia investigation. Why would he have to recuse himself from an investigation into the investigators?
I don't know, but I sat with the Attorney General while I was still in Congress, and I spent more than an hour, and we went through everything. They won't provide Fast and Furious documents. They wouldn't prosecute Brian Pagliano for... he didn't even show up. I issued a subpoena for him to testify before Congress, and he didn't show up, and we wanted him to be prosecuted, and the Attorney General looked me in the eye and said, we're not going to do that.
The IT guy for Hillary Clinton.
The IT guy for Hillary Clinton. I mean, I got a laundry list of things that the Attorney General will not pursue, and he can't run the department and agency. I just think it's time.
I think people are scratching their heads. I've actually heard, I think on Lou Dobbs, saying he thinks the deep state must have something on him, because it makes no sense why he hasn't acted in these cases that seem so obvious to the American people that there is corruption and they need to be investigated.
But to push back on your on your Inspector General, I've had work with Michael Horowitz through the years, myself, Trey Gowdy. I'm telling you, we believe in their organization. You don't hear the leaks. And when they come out with their report, soup to nuts, everything from the tarmac meeting with Director Comey to his firing, everything in between, they're the ones that unearthed the documents are the 10,000 text messages that all became because of the Inspector General.
But are they going to, I hear you, but are they going to do anything about it?
There is a conflict, because once you shine light on this, you have to have the Department of Justice prosecute the Department of Justice. Right. And you need a strong Attorney General to do that, and I don't know that we have one right now.
Maybe the end of the day for that, for sure. Now, there's a lot of other things happening. A big revelation yesterday. The Conference Committee has come out with their report of what the tax bill will be in the House and the Senate. As a conservative, what's your takeaway of what the Republicans are going to look to pass here?
Oh, look, I think this is a huge win for the United States of America. That a lot of back and forth, a very open process, and Democrats are in a terrible position, right? Heaven forbid that the American people be able to keep their own money in their own pockets. I think they will unanimously vote against it, but hats off and applause to Kevin Brady and Orrin Hatch, the two leaders in the two bodies. It is a compromise. I'm sure there's certain parts that people would want to change. There's certain things I would want to change. But the reality is more than $1 trillion will be saved and put back into the American people's pockets, and that's going to be a huge win.
You've been in the House a long time. Talk to us a little bit about what this means for Paul Ryan. I mean, I think people really underestimate how much brain power and years of brain power have gone into this tax plan and into this win for the GOP.
Paul Ryan is the policy wonk. He's always wanted to attack the structural reform needed to get this country moving in a growth format. This has got to be a huge positive moment for Paul Ryan. Hats off to him, because he always wanted to be the chairman of Ways and Means so he could do this.
Yes.
We didn't let him do that very long. We promoted him right up to the speaker when he finally was the chairman of Ways and Means, and I think he should take a good victory lap on this. It's got to make the vote happen, but by the time we get to Wednesday, then look out, because by the end of the week it gets really ugly for the House and the Senate, because funding the government is not going to be quite so easy.
Look forward. If this really helps the economy take off, you have not a single Democrat in either body who voted for it.
Are they secretly worried? I mean, to Ed's point, are they?
Yeah, I mean, look, what do the Democrats stand for at this point? All right, they have Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. They don't have a national leader. They're opposed to allowing people to keep their own money in their own pockets. What do you run on if you're a Democrat? I don't know that they have a message against the president with a zooming economy, people's paychecks going up, their company they're working for is going to be doing better. They're going to repatriate billions of dollars back in the United States, which will get invested. The president's doing what he said he was going to do, and he's doing it in record time.
Well, you make a great point. When people feel good and have money in their pockets, it's good for whatever party made that happen.
Dust off the old, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?
That's right.
That's right. And we even say Merry Christmas now. So we got the full package.
Well, Merry Christmas to you, and thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
Turning now to your headlines.
Transition here with all this talk of investigations. It's hard to keep track of who's who. So we're breaking down the key players you need to know in the FBI and DOJ's presidential probe. Here to investigate the investigators, former CIA officer Buck Sexton. Buck, good morning.
Good to see you.
So the president has insisted no Russian collusion. What has started to materialize is a look that inside our highest of intelligence and investigative agencies, there may have been some collusion against this president. A lot of names we're becoming familiar with right now.
It certainly looks like a partisan apparatus that's been put together to look into various investigations. The Hillary Clinton email investigations, which we know she got more than the benefit of the doubt from. Yep. And now the Donald Trump-Russia collusion investigation.
That's right. So you've got Bob Mueller, he's the head of the special counsel. James Comey, former FBI agent who's leaking of certain things, got him appointed. Let's go through some of the other names that we've heard in the news in the last couple of weeks. Andrew McCabe.
Well, Andrew McCabe was believed to be the central guy for handling any contacts between the FBI and Fusion GPS. Fusion GPS, of course, produced the dossier. Yes. We'll get back to this in a few moments because there are other individuals tied in here. But he's also somebody whose wife was running as a Democrat, has ties into Terry McAuliffe. He's somebody that people believe is tied in with many of the different figures here and also is clearly a partisan.
And very, very powerful in this entire context. Now, you talked about those anti-Trump text messages that he was referred to. Those came largely from Peter Strzok.